You're watching The Tom Renz Show with your host, Tom Renz.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. I am excited to be here today and excited to share great news for America. Pam Bondi's getting fired. Hallelujah. My God, I've been waiting for this for, I don't know, when did she come into office? She's been a disaster. It's just absolutely incredible to me. If you know what really gets me, guys? When I see people who support Donald Trump, but then don't want Bondi fired, or that are trying to say she's done a good job. One of the single biggest drags on Donald Trump's approval ratings has been the lack of accountability anywhere, the handling of the Epstein files, the lack of anything substantive happening to drain the swamp. And all of that is done under the Department of Justice. Pam Bondi being fired is probably the biggest and best thing Donald Trump could do to ensure that there's going to be something done to help pull his approval ratings up and to give us a chance in the midterms. We have to have a functional DOJ, which means you have to do more than come in, shuffle some people around, fire no more than 150 FBI agents, and essentially accomplish nothing. She's thrown cases. She threw the Comey case. She threw the Letitia James case. She let Maureen Comey run the Diddy case, which was promptly thrown. I mean, just bad case after bad case after bad case, and inaction and action and action. Pam Bondi has done more to damage this administration than probably anything else that they've dealt with. I really don't know that I could list anything. And I've said it several times today on Twitter and elsewhere that I honestly, I don't think that there is a Republican attorney general in history that I could point to that has such a unique combination of ineptitude and apparently corrupt actions. I mean, Bondi is absolutely useless. The fact she came in day one and changed directives to get her former client Pfizer out of some investigations is mind-blowing. The just inaction to political allies and people who probably should be prosecuted is mind-blowing. Everything she's done, just horrific. Thank God this former Democrat is now relegated to the dustbins of history, and I hope we don't hear from her again. I got a little bit more on that coming up, but actually, you know what? Let's just go through this right now. Hey, before I do, givesendgo.com/Renzlaw. Givesendgo.com/Renzlaw. Please support us. We need your help. We need your support. A lot of great supporters still giving to us on givesendgo.com/Renzlaw. You guys that are giving and helping us there, I got to tell you, you're the lifeblood that keeps us going. We're going to keep telling the truth. We're going to keep pushing for truth, but we need your help. Nobody funds us. We have no FARA funding. There's a lot of people apparently getting FARA funding right now. Foreign agent. Yeah, we're getting funded by different foreign agents. A lot of people getting funding from all sorts of things. We just tell the truth, which means we don't have a whole lot of people funding us, except for our sponsors and except for you that give on givesendgo.com/Renzlaw. I thank you for your support. Please continue. Also, go to our sponsors. Speaking of them, www.tomrenz.com. www.tom. Look at all these guys. Look at all of these sponsors. We have so many different great sponsors. Go to www.tomrenz.com. Of course, Global Healing, men's hormone support. Anything you want to get from Global Healing is good, but I love men's hormone support. It keeps me clear. It keeps me sharp. Keeps me functional. It's the reason I can work 12 to 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, and still be productive without dying off here. It's a wonderful product. Go to globalhealing.com/TomRenz. Globalhealing.com/TomRenz. Get discounts on all sorts of things, but especially check out men's hormone support. And today I want to highlight my friends, Hale and Associates. Hale and Associates, one of our newest and best sponsors. We love these guys. If you're concerned about your money, if you're concerned about your personal wealth, talk to these guys. They'll help you. They're fiduciaries, which means that they work in your interest, not for their own. And they're a great group. Check them out. Particularly ask them about annuities. I do like annuities. You know, it's a little bit hairy knowing what's going to go up and what's going to go down in the stock market unless you're Nancy Pelosi. Hale and Associates may not be Nancy Pelosi, but they can help you navigate everything. And their annuity products are really good. So make sure you're asking about that. They are a wonderful, wonderful group, and they can give you the advice that you need. So check out haleandassociates.net/Renz. haleandassociates.net/Renz. Wonderful people. I think we got to get them on the show here coming up to talk about what's going on in the economy, because it's a bit of a mess right now. So make sure you're checking them out. All right, let's get back to this to Bondi. So let me give you a quick rundown of Bondi's successes. All I keep hearing is we have historically low murder rates. Well, great. I mean, here's the deal. The DOJ was not stopping murder. They weren't stopping anything under the Biden administration. Okay. Their job is to do that. That's just the foundation of their job. But we elected Donald Trump for accountability. So I'm not going to say high fives to you guys for doing the very basics of your job. I will say, though, we fought. I ran, listen, on my own dime, out of my own pocket. I went around the country and fought to get Donald Trump elected because I wanted the swamp drained. Draining the swamp means bringing politically connected and elite people to account under the law. It means justice. We have not had justice at all, none. Pam Bondi came in with one task: ensure justice, ensure the equal application of the law. She has failed on the most epic levels imaginable, and no greater illustration can be given than the Epstein files. The Epstein files are clear as day. She herself has said she's got tens of thousands of hours of video of these elitists raping children, and she's put none of them in jail. I'm sorry, but being rich, being politically connected, being a politician, and being elite does not give you the right to rape children, and it shouldn't. Bondi says she has truckloads of evidence. Truckloads. That's what she said, right? Remember when it was in New York and she was waiting for it to get shipped to her desk? And that's why she gave us the empty binders full of nothing? Remember the Epstein binder debacle? Pam Bondi treated her elite allies and friends differently than she treated regular Americans. That unequal application of justice is wildly unacceptable under American law, the principles that we stand for, and everything else. It doesn't sit well with the American people who fought for Donald Trump to drain the swamp. And having an AG like that served to do nothing other than to dispirit the base and to make people sick. The Epstein files are phenomenally important. They're phenomenally important. I believe they're still being used, and the information in them is still being used to blackmail people, because we aren't the only people with that information. Epstein was certainly selling that to other intel agencies around the world, to other people around the world. I mean, the guy was running a blackmail ring based on child rape. So what, you think he was ethical about how he did it? Of course not. He was selling it to whoever had the most money. There's a lot of people that have that kind of money. The real reason that we're not doing anything with the Epstein files is because it would destroy the global power structure. All the elites, all these globalists, all these politicians. I mean, we know what Alex Jones has revealed about Bohemian Grove. We know what's going on. We've heard about Epstein Island, New Mexico Ranch, the Palm Beach mansion, which, by the way, was doing what it was doing under Pam Bondi's oversight as an AG. It's a debacle, and it's not okay. And the American people do not like and will not like and will never accept a two-tiered system of justice. It's not a good thing. It's not an acceptable thing, and it's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. So Pam Bondi doing what she did in terms of having this two-tiered application of justice was a failure. Her failure to bring accountability to the political elites, not just on the Epstein file, but across the board. I mean, how many times have we heard about allegations about Schumer and many other Democrats committing mortgage fraud or other fraud? She did nothing. Comey, she brought the Comey case and assigned it to someone who, under the plain black letter of the law, was not able to prosecute the case, and she waited to do this until right before the statute of limitations ran. No one could be that incompetent. That's the hallmark of someone who's trying to throw the case rather than to bring accountability. Pam Bondi being fired is a wonderful thing and might allow us to have some accountability. Now, unfortunately, Todd Blanche, who's been kissing Bondi's butt for the last year, is now acting AG. But Trump does have the chance to bring in someone who's capable and qualified. Now, if he lets Todd Blanche keep doing what Todd Blanche has done for the last year, which is defend the Epstein files and some of these other things, this is going to be disastrous going into the midterms. If, however, Trump brings in someone new who can get something done, that'll be great. Now, I'm going to go on record right now and tell you, I've heard Mike Davis and Lee Zeldin as both possible choices. I am opposed to both. Davis has been running around kissing Bondi's ass for the last year and telling me how great she is. Anybody who has told me that Pam Bondi's done a good job should be immediately disqualified from consideration. She literally got fired for her incompetence. So if you're defending her incompetence, if you've been kissing her butt for the last year, you should be immediately disqualified. Lee Zeldin has certainly not been speaking out. So let him stick there where he's at the EPA. where he continues to approve. Actually, get rid of him there too, because he's continuing to allow the EPA to approve to allow these horrible chemicals to continue to be used in our crops and elsewhere that are just dangerous as hell to people. The glyphosate and the paraquat and some of these other things are horrible. I'm not real thrilled with Lee Zeldin either. But I certainly don't want him at AG. Anyone who has been an apologist for Pam Bondi should be disqualified. We need to bring in someone new who's not a Washington insider, someone who's willing to fight, and someone who doesn't care about the political costs. There is no more important position in this administration than Attorney General. We fought for Donald Trump to bring accountability in, to drain the swamp. And we need someone with the courage and the fortitude to do what's right, not what's easy. We need someone who will say to Donald Trump, hey, Mr. President, I love you, but this is what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. If you don't have the courage to do that, you should be gone. I see in the comments someone says Bondi was yet another infiltrator. Yeah, I agree, 100%. Bondi was absolutely brought in by Susie Wiles, by the way, who she worked with at Ballard Partners, to ignore what's happening around the world, to ignore the foreign agents acting illegally in the United States. Do you know that she's not prosecuting people who are acting as unregistered foreign agents, who are taking money from foreign countries? Did you know that? Someone asked in the comments about Sidney Powell. I love Sidney Powell. I don't think she would take the job, but I would absolutely support Sidney Powell in that position. I would love to see someone who is just willing to do whatever they need to do to get justice, equal justice, blind justice. I'm not saying, listen, if the evidence doesn't work out, that's one thing. But I don't want someone who's going to tell me, hey, there's no Epstein evidence, when obviously there is, right? If you're a liar, I'm not going to trust you. You got one chance. Right. After COVID, after J6, after the 2020 election steal, after all these things, listen, you got one chance. You come in here. If you're a liar, I don't trust you anymore, especially not in the AG position. We need someone who is absolutely 100% just in the most independent way possible, committed to prosecuting evil people with justice. That's what we have to have. If we don't have that, it's not going to work. So Donald Trump has a chance now to we're really last minute. I don't know. We'll see. But it could be, if Trump brings in a real ringer, that we could see some accountability that would really turn things around before midterms. And we're going to need it, because things aren't looking real good right now. We need to get rid of anybody that's ever worked as a lobbyist should be disqualified. Anybody who's supported Pam Bondi should be disqualified. Anybody who supported Susie Wiles should be disqualified, frankly. But I don't know that they'll do that, because Susie Wiles is apparently running the administration, which is really sad, because she is a corrupt lobbyist that should be also fired. If we get rid of Bondi and Wiles, we'd really have something going on, and replace them with some quality people. And if I dare say, I'll tell you who I would love to see come in as an advisor is General Flynn. General Flynn is not for sale. I know there's a lot of people out there trying to smear his name who also happen to be connected with Pam Bondi's crooked Justice Department. But, I'll tell you, I've known Flynn for a long time. I trust Flynn. And Flynn's been real open about what he thinks about this. He's done what he's had to do. He's been loyal to the president 100%. We really need the general's insight and guidance in this administration so that the president can start bringing in people who aren't crooks. They need to empower people like General Flynn and others who are willing to say what it says, talk about the truth, regardless of the political cost. That's what we need in this administration. That's what we fought for. We've got an opportunity now with Bondi being fired. I'm hearing rumors. Alex Jones is saying today he's expecting Patel's going to be fired too, which frankly, I liked Cash, just like I used to like Bongino. I was very excited when Cash and Bongino were coming in. I was disappointed that Matt Gaetz didn't get the job, but I was excited about Patel and Bongino coming in. And man, were they disappointments. To call them disappointments is kind of like, I don't know. It's like if you're a little kid, you're getting ready for Christmas, you open your first present, your only present, and turned out that there's a dog turd in the box. I don't know how else to categorize this. I just don't like it. So anyways, we'll see what happens with this, but I think it's going to be particularly important, especially in light of last night. Oh my God, guys, the Iran war. Listen, Iran's a terrible regime. They're evil people. Seeing them knocked down isn't a bad thing, but we shouldn't be there. The way we're doing this is disastrous. We keep hearing more and more about bad things coming from this. And, the president comes out last night and he does his speech, and I want to get into that. Let me open up with this. Okay. This is, Ben, can we put I want to put this little video on. Sassafras 84. I like Sassafras. She's a little more on the Trump can do no wrong train than I am. But she posted this from The Blaze, and let me just play this interview for you, because I think this pretty much sums up the liberal position on, well, everything. Let's hear this.
Isn't it a little bit homophobic that we're so focused on the Straits of Hormuz and not the gays of Hormuz?
Yes, I agree. Yes, for sure.
Why do you think they're willing to leave the gays of Hormuz behind?
I think it's just historically, gays have always been very discriminated against, which is wrong on so many levels.
Even in war.
Yeah, even in war. It just takes more reform in government, obviously, and then also educating society.
I just feel like if we're going to go in there, we can't leave the gay people behind.
Right,
I don't think we should go in there at all, but if we're going to, the gays of Hormuz, we could turn it into Fire Island.
For sure.
Okay. That's about right for a liberal. What are we going to do about the Straits of Hormuz? Shouldn't we be worried about the gays of Hormuz? I think that's hilarious. I love that. That kind of made my day. I think that sums up the left. And this is the issue that we face as MAGA, as Republicans, et cetera, et cetera. On one side, we have the Democrats who are talking about the gays of Hormuz because they're just that stupid. And then on the other side, we got a bunch of rhinos who are liars and sellouts. There's just no winning on this, right? So the president came out last night, and I want to kind of go through and summarize some of my notes on the speech, right? The speech that Donald Trump gave was really just kind of an update. And I'm going to summarize this real quick. So he comes out, and the president says that our forces have had a swift, decisive, overwhelming victories, right, in terms of accomplishing our strategic objectives. And let me talk to you about this, because this is really important. He talks about 4 key objectives: destroying Iran's ballistic missile arsenal and production capabilities. We have done a lot on that. Now, have we done it entirely? No. They're still launching missiles, and they're still using drones, and they're still fighting. Are they winning? By no means. But we always knew that Iran couldn't win a war with us. The problem wasn't that they couldn't win a war with us. The problem is, could we win a war with them? And there's a difference between winning a war and securing the peace. And the problem with this is, when you start a war, you want to secure the peace. And what we've done is essentially created a situation where there's just tremendous instability throughout the Middle East now. A lot of our allies have been hit. The Straits of Hormuz are shut down. Not the gays of Hormuz. I mean, oh, good God. I mean, how dumb are leftists? How dumb are they? It's incredible. But this has created an issue. Now, we were supposed to see, when this was starting, it was going to be, a few weeks, right? Well, we're way past that. And now the president's telling us that we're winning by so much that we're going to keep going. It makes no sense to me. If we've accomplished our objectives, quit. But, it's not working, right? It's not working. We still have a mess. Iran is continuing to attack. And so I don't want to be there. I don't like this. It's a debacle in my mind. But I will say that one thing that's unique about Donald Trump on this is the way he's executing this war. He doesn't care if we have to bomb Iran back into the Stone Age. He literally said that, which is great. That is how you win a war. I mean, listen, these guys can back off, or we can, next step is we're going to cut their electricity. We're going to cut their oil, cut everything. And it's a controversial approach, but that's war, right? And if the IRGC wants to keep doing this, Well, Trump says, listen, we're going to make sure that you have nothing, no electricity, no running water, nothing. We're going to bomb you back to Soda. And, this is an important thing. At some point, the people of Iran, we would hope, would step up and say enough's enough, but they haven't. They haven't. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things. I think Trump believed that when he started this, that the people of Iran were going to rebel, and they didn't. They really, there's been nothing. Now, one of the really confounding issues in this has been, this discussion that we've been, Trump said a couple of times that we're talking with Iranian leadership, right? That we've got people in Iran we're negotiating with. But we just heard, and it depends on what you believe, this is really kind of unconfirmed territory. It's part of the fog of war issue. But we heard last night that Israel went in and bombed some of the people we were talking to create peace. Now, rumor is that Trump said, don't hit these people, and Israel bombed them anyways because they want us to keep bombing Iran. Netanyahu's a bad guy, right? I support Israel. I don't support Benjamin Netanyahu. And he keeps stabbing us in the back. And frankly, the guy looks like a nutbag. I mean, this is the same guy who used mRNA vaccines on his population, made God knows how many people long-term sick, injured, ill, dying, whatever. He's proud of that. He funded Hamas. Hamas, is killing his people right and left, but he funded $35 million a month, according to reports. Right? Credible reports. But they say, well, no, he was funding the peace. No, he wasn't funding the peace. You don't give $35 million a month to terrorists and think that you're funding the peace. You can't make a deal with the devil. But that's what that's kind of the foundation of what Netanyahu's done. Now, here's the deal. Netanyahu keeps lying. It's like, we've got very strong testimony from Israeli soldiers that October 7th, they were given a stand down order. Now, this is appalling because these soldiers were ready to stand for their countrymen, to fight for their countrymen. But on the October 7th tragedy, which it was a horrible, horrible thing for the nation of Israel. But Netanyahu appears to have allowed it to happen. Now, we can go back and forth and say, well, rumor is that Netanyahu was undermined. Well, I don't care whether he was undermined or a part of it. He's a proven liar, so when do you trust a liar? I don't, right? Everything for me is pretty black and white on this. I don't trust a liar. Netanyahu's been proven to be a liar. He's been shown that he doesn't care about his own people, and he keeps doing things that are not good for the U.S. We have got to quit supporting Benjamin Netanyahu. We need to support the people of Israel. I believe in supporting the nation, but not Benjamin Netanyahu. And we need to tell them, listen, if you're going to have this clown keep doing these terrible things, we're not going to go keep fighting your wars that he's starting. We can't do that. Ultimately, the people of Israel have to determine for themselves which direction they want to go. And I want to support our Jewish brothers and sisters and the people of Israel, the people who are the people, right? Don't tell me that everyone that's Jewish is evil. I don't believe that. I don't believe that everyone in any nation is evil. There are good people all over the world. Most people just want to live their lives. It's the political elites in the different nations around the world that cause the problems. It's not the people of any given nation. It's the people running the nation who are corrupt in every nation of the world, just like we saw under Joe Biden in this country. We had a terrible president in this country. No one should have supported Joe Biden. Joe Biden was the worst thing ever, but yet he was there, right? Should the American people have been blamed for Joe Biden's existence? No. No, I certainly was doing everything I could to get rid of him. But he was bad. I think that's a parallel to what's happening in Israel right now. Right. So we've got this speech, and I want to play this, and it's a longer clip, but JP Sears did this video, and JP's obviously a comedian. But if you look in this video, there is some actual real evidence in here. It's legitimate. It's truthful. And I want to play this because I think this is a very, very important video. Watch this. Let's, Ben, can we put this up on the screen here? There's JP. All right.
In pro-Israel news, it's been revealed that Netanyahu had been paying Hamas $35 million a month leading up to the October 7th attacks.
That's true.
And issued a stand-down order. We've got
That's
the
true.
receipts. And we're going to war for the guy with boots on the ground coming up soon.
Probably.
But at least you and I probably won't have to die for him. Just our children will.
That's the problem. And I want to say this. Remember, Lindsey Graham, he isn't going to war and his kids aren't going to war. He doesn't have any. He's just in Disney World looking at other people's kids and playing with their wands, right? All these people that are supporting this, they aren't sending their kids over there and they aren't going over there. I don't see Ben Shapiro is eligible. He could sign up for the Army right now. He could go over there and he could die in Iran. He's absolutely eligible to do that. Is Ben Shapiro signing up for the Army? I mean, we're fighting the war that he wants us to fight. He keeps telling us how great it is. I think Ben Shapiro should sign up. Let's see him. Sign up. Put your money where your mouth is. You're 40, 42 is the new cutoff. You can still do it. Sign up, buddy. Let's go some more. So there's more JP Sears.
Welcome to WeLIG News. So, Netanyahu was giving Hamas $35 million a month leading up to the October 7th attacks.
Yes, he was.
He didn't want you to find out. That's the good news.
Yep.
Here it is.
At the same time that he was under investigation, he arranged for Hamas to receive $35 million every month from Qatar.
Now, if you believe that Netanyahu
35
actually
million.
did this, you're an anti-Semite. And given
Apparently.
that the whistleblowers that came forward with this information are Jewish, if you don't believe that Netanyahu did this, you're also an anti-Semite.
It's funny, but it's a very important point. Listen, this isn't about whether you're Jewish or not. This isn't about whether you support Israel or not. This is about the fact that Benjamin Netanyahu is a crook. He's a bad guy. They've got a bad leader there right now. So it's tough because if you support Israel and support the people of Israel and they've got a bad leader, well, should you support the bad leader? And the answer is no. I mean, that's just that simple. But we're told that if we don't support Benjamin Netanyahu, we're anti-Semitic. I am by no means anti-Semitic. In fact, I don't like, I say this over and over. My mentor is a Nuremberg prosecutor. I am 100% for the rights of people to live and believe as they choose to live and believe, as long as it's not destroying the rights of others. So this isn't about Semitism or anti-Semitism. This is about a political leader who I think is corrupt and who I personally believe has done more damage to the Jewish people and the people of Israel than any other leader I could point to in recent history. I think he's a disaster. The COVID shots alone should be enough. But the fact that he funded terrorists to the tune of $35 million a month and then told his military to stand down, well, let's bring this back up. Let's do some more here because I want to go through this. This is a really important video.
That's how that works. But you can certainly rest assured that with the October 7th attacks, Israel did not issue a stand-down order. This just in! Here's an Israeli soldier testifying that he was given a stand-down order on October 7th to cancel all patrols along the Gaza border from 5:20 a.m. until 9 a.m.
פתאום עולה בקשר בהודעה מוזרה. כל
Israeli soldier.
התחנות, לא יודע למה, לא יודע איך, משהו בסגנון הזה, אין סיור בגדר עד 9 בבוקר. באיזה שעה זה?
What time was this? 5:20 in the
Believing
morning.
that
Stand down.
Netanyahu is responsible for funding and literally allowing the Hamas attacks on his own people seems a little anti-Semitic, don't you think? Because you can tell that soldier was clearly making it up that they were given stand-down orders.
Right. The soldier was making it up, right? Right? Oh,
This just in! Here's a recording of the stand-down order being given.
oh, they got a recording. Brigade issued a directive for our forces. I'll say it again. Until 9 in the morning, pending the situation assessment. No vehicle is to go down to Burma. We're in rear staging areas. I don't know why exactly. The guy making the announcement says, I don't know why. It's a brigade level arrangement. I don't know why exactly. I don't ask too many questions. That's the directive. That's what we do because these are soldiers and their job is to listen and to follow orders. And that's what they were doing. And they were told to stand down on October 7th. This is a recording of the actual order.
Well,
The guy reading the order that he was given says, I don't know why we're standing down, but we're standing down, right? From 5:20 until 9 a.m., they were told stand down. Plenty of time for these terrorists to get through the border, right?
the point is, it's important that we fight an ongoing war in Iran for the government of Israel because they're our greatest ally. And I think this point is driven home pretty well with what we've presented thus far. But shockingly, it looks like the war might be escalating beyond what was originally predicted by our leaders, who are being led like dogs by Israel. Boots on the ground looking very likely, maybe even a draft.
Yeah, so the boots on the ground are looking more likely. There's a lot of reports that we're going to try and go in and get the enriched uranium, I guess, which, I mean, I got to be honest with y'all. Is this like, the weapons of mass destruction from Iraq? I mean, I don't know. I mean, who do we trust on this?
It's probably going to happen too.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of rumors about a potential draft coming. Think about that one.
Goalposts have seemingly moved. How so? Well, start off in June with Operation Midnight Hammer, using bunker-busting missiles to take out Iran's nuclear sites.
Remember, we took out the nuclear sites. We were all good?
Done. That's all we needed to do. Then, last month, it turns out, we needed to also take out their leader. Then the next leader. In a quick surgical strike. Quick bombing campaign. Over in 2 weeks. Max. But apparently 2 weeks wasn't enough to slow the spread of war. Because Iran retaliated. And our best and brightest didn't know that was going to happen. So now we're just kind of in it for another 2 weeks, as measured by the COVIDian metric system, which in there 2 weeks can be as long as 20 human years.
I love that. The COVIDian metric system. Well, only 2 more weeks, which might be 20 years, because remember 2 weeks to flatten the curve? Well, it was a long ways from 2 weeks to flatten the curve.
And it's looking likely the U.S. will be sending ground troops into Iran. I hear it's lovely there this time of year.
It is lovely there.
And as we do that, on behalf of Israel, the good news is that Israel will not be sending any of their troops.
Yeah, think about this. After all of this and all the reports about Israel pushing us to do this war and pushing us to do all these things, now if we go into Iran, they're not even sending their soldiers. Now, they don't mind bombing the people that we're trying to negotiate with. But, I mean, this looks like Netanyahu is undermining the president. Think about that.
Ground. Is that right? We're doing no troops? Oh, because they don't want their troops killed. Don't worry. It gets better. Many experts are saying that in the near future, not only is a draft possible, but it's likely. There's a lot of upsides to that. The main one being that
I love this sign. They'll sacrifice your sons to war and your daughters to Epstein, then censor you for noticing. That's kind of where we're at.
Your sons and daughters can go fight in a war that they don't believe in on behalf of a country that they don't live in. And if that angers you, then
100%.
You are an anti-Semite. And in fun news, the military has recently raised its maximum age of enlistment from 32 to 42, which gives Ben Shapiro an excellent opportunity to enlist so he can fight in a war that he so desperately wants others to fight in for his causes. Look for that to definitely happen. Unless
he might be.
In other news, the Treasury Secretary has announced a whistleblower reward program where tipsters will get paid big money for coming forward to expose fraud. Look, everybody, the U.S. government wants to stop fraud. No, they want to stop
BONDI, so that might help.
They don't want fraud to happen. Yeah, them. So, it's, I don't know. It almost looks like them using money as bait to get whistleblowers to come forward so they know who to assassinate. I'm sure that's not the case. Nonetheless, with the incentive program that's designed to bring more whistleblowers forward, experts expect the national suicide rate to quadruple in the next year.
That's just funny. I don't know if you've seen, there's been a whole swath of people that were potential whistleblowers coming forward from a particular lab. And I think there's up to 9 of them have been murdered, or died mysteriously lately. The whistleblowers coming out are not doing real well right now. By the way, if you're a whistleblower and you want to come out and maybe not get murdered, I'm happy to try and help you. You can reach out to us here. But know that we will verify vigorously anything you have to say before I'm going to do anything, because we don't back I'm happy to back whistleblowers, but they got to be for real.
For some reason. In other news, a few days ago, I had a video go pretty viral where I was very sincerely apologizing for criticizing Israel. Now, what are people saying about it? Here's a good comment. Pathetic and not funny. To talk about Israel is a way for an unsuccessful comedian to make money. Response.
I'm sure JP's making as much money as anybody else is on this. He goes on, and there's more to this. We're gonna stop here with the video, though. There's a lot of hypocrisy going on with this. There's a lot of people who are getting paid really good money to support not Israel, but Benjamin Netanyahu. If you support Israel, if you support the Israeli people, if you support the Jewish people who live there, or the Christian people who live there, or whoever lives there, then you have to ask yourself, is supporting a guy who funded Hamas, who tried to force the COVID jabs on everybody, he tried to coerce everybody into taking the COVID jabs, because he didn't have to, right? You didn't. You could be without a job and basically no way to feed your family. But 90% of the people in Israel were basically forced into taking this through coercion. The experimental gene therapy jab, by the way, which we're going to get into in a second. A guy who apparently, whether he did it or someone in his administration did it, there was a stand down order on their equivalent of 9/11, the October 7th attacks, which were horrific. I mean, can you imagine living in Israel, having people around you that want to come in, rape, and murder your children, and having your president, your prime minister, issue a stand down order so they can do it to justify further action? Because that's what it looks like happened to me. Maybe I'm wrong, but I mean, when it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, how do you argue it's not a duck? I mean, it's just what I'm looking at, right? So anyways, make sure this is just, the whole thing reeks. This is incredibly bad. And I'm not sure what the solution is. I think that we need to really just kind of finish our bombing run. If we're going to bomb these people into Stone Age, do it. But don't, for the love of God, we cannot put boots on the ground there. We don't want our soldiers in that mess. We need to get the hell out of there quickly, allow the world economic situation to stabilize. Get back to doing what we need to do to make America great again. That's what we've got to do to have a shot in these midterms. Right now, I think we're almost past the time, but never know. I mean, one thing I will say is counting Donald Trump out is always a mistake. I don't care how you feel about him. Counting that guy out, I don't know. It's something. So, and he did fire Pam Bondi. That is the most important thing I've seen happen in a very long time. I was starting to think it wouldn't happen until after the midterms. We got to get someone in there. We got to start getting accountability. If we make some shifts, we've got a real chance at bringing this back around, helping our country to get back on its feet, and to seeing some of these things, really start going. I think there's still hope for us turning around before the midterms, especially if we take big action on the illegal voting issues, which I'm going to get to. I want to get to this birthright citizenship case if I can, but I gotta keep moving. So we're going to keep moving because there's a lot to talk about today. So headline: Pfizer, speaking of the people who were poisoned in Israel, Pfizer BioNTech halt U.S. COVID vaccine study, according to Reuters, after recruitment struggles. What? You mean people don't want to volunteer to be part of more Pfizer experimentation? It's ironic because, honestly, from the day that the vaccines rolled out, it was experimental. They were given an emergency use authorization approval because they weren't tested. They were untested. There were no long-term tests. And long-term testing for vaccines typically is a 10 to 20-year project, right? This is a new category of drugs, right? The gene therapy drugs that they're calling vaccines, this is a new category of drugs. This is 10 to 20 years of testing because long-term effects, you can't predict them without seeing what happens long-term, right? This is a foundational thing. It still hasn't been long enough, right? These aren't even out for 10 years. We don't know the long-term effects, but the signals are pointing to turbo cancers and all sorts of other things, right? So Pfizer can't get enough people to volunteer for their studies because Bobby, thank you, Bobby, has put out new, more rigorous standards for approval on these drugs that require actual placebo studies. This is a very big deal. Right now, if you look at this article, which is by Reuters, who loves big pharma, they're saying that there haven't been enough healthy adults in the right age bracket for enrolling in the trials to generate the data that they need. Right, this is foundational. Right, because the U.S. FDA is now they've toughened requirements, and they're saying that you have to have placebo-controlled trials for healthy people so they can actually see what's happening. Now, if you study epidemiology, one of the things that you understand is in the study, you want to eliminate what are called confounding factors. That's the technical, it's called confounding factors, right? Confounding factors mean things that could throw the study results off. So if you test this on people that are half dead, you don't really know what's happening, right? Is this person already sick? And so we attribute, the side effect to them already being sick? Or is it new? Is it a new symptom, a new issue because the people that are taking this were healthy and we can see that it's likely the result of, this intervention that's making them sick, right? So that's what's happening. Now, Bobby's just saying, hey, maybe we should test this stuff out and see whether it's making people sick. Well, as soon as that happens, Pfizer can't manipulate the study as well. They can't find enough people to join the study to do this. So the study's fallen flat on its face. Now, mind you, as a quick summary of a few core points that I've pointed out and others, with these vaccines, signals and studies, right? Both signals and studies, including peer-reviewed studies, peer-reviewed, trust the science things, that sort of stuff, have came out since the COVID vaccines have been introduced. And they've shown that turbo cancer and increased cancer risk is booming. 300 plus documented studies across 27 countries are showing that there's issues and signals suggesting that the COVID vaccines can increase the risk of cancer and show things like genomic integration, SV40 promoters, spike protein in cancer cells, all sorts of genetic disruption, all sorts of issues, right? We see studies showing fatal myocarditis and cardiac issues, right? This is leading to death, right? People, mean age of 44, often within days, dying after these vaccines, right? Death, excess mortality. Been all sorts of evidence, whistleblower evidence, all sorts of data showing excess mortality due to these COVID vaccines. Genomic DNA integration, right? We've got studies, we've got data, all sorts of things suggesting that it does happen. How frequently? We don't know. But is it happening on some level? That's almost indisputable, I would argue, right? I'm being careful about what I'm saying. It is almost indisputable to suggest that on some level, there is genomic integration related to having taken one of these COVID vaccines. Okay? It's not debatable. It's happening on some level. We don't know how often. We don't know how prolific it is. And you can frame it in different ways. But at the end of the day, is it happening? The answer is yes. Right? Neurological brain damage. We know that these COVID jabs cross the blood-brain barrier. No question about that. It's happening. And there seem to be associated neurological and brain issues with it. Autoimmune chronic diseases. Again, lots of signals, lots of information. No question about the lack of informed consent, right? We know the Pfizer documents prove that they knew that there was distribution throughout the entire body and that there was inadequate long-term testing, regulatory fails, all sorts of things. These things are not disputable. They happened. right? This doesn't mean, and I want to be clear on this, I'm not saying that everybody who took a COVID jab is going to die. We wouldn't even know because a lot of the COVID jabs, they use different formulations. We don't know. We don't even know what you got, really. There's no transparency on any of this. But we do know that these things are happening on a substantial level. And typically vaccines that cause any deaths are immediately pulled or subject to real deep scrutiny, but that's not happened yet. This whole thing has been just a disaster. And as we're moving towards these personalized mRNA solutions to prevent cancer and other such things, we have to understand that it's unsafe, it's untested, it's unproven, and there's a ton of data and signals out there statistically that would indicate it's a very bad decision, yet we're rushing ahead on this. This is a disaster. Netanyahu knew this and still coerced his people into taking these unsafe, ineffective, and unproven mRNA technologies, and did so without informed consent. He knew this. Everybody knew this. Everybody knew what was happening. I proved this years ago, yet no one wanted to hear it. The proof is there, folks. I don't need to go over it again. I don't go over it every day because we've all heard it. If you follow me, you've heard it. If you haven't, take a look at my timeline. Look at some of my old tweets, my old Substacks, tomrenz.substack.com, by the way. If you go way back in the archives, you can find I've proven everything that they're hearing years ago. Everything that you're hearing now it's long since. You can look. It's already there. Right down to the turbo cancer, genomic integration, the whole 9 yards. I've been talking about it for 5 years now, maybe longer. So these are a disaster, and that's good to see. All right. So one of the things that we got to talk about, and we're going to try and get this in before the end of the show, is the executive order and the lawsuit related to this. So this is Donald Trump's executive order. If we can put this on the screen, Ben, this is protecting the meaning and value of American citizenship. Now, this is in the SCOTUS right now. And I support what Donald Trump is trying to do here 100%. Right? We don't need this. This birthright citizenship is a bit of a mess. And there's a real problem with it, right? Because we need to fix it. We need to eliminate birthright citizenship. But the question is how? Now, we start out here and we say purpose, right? Section 1, the purpose of the executive order, right? The privilege of United States citizenship is a priceless and profound gift. I agree. The 14th Amendment states, quote, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside, right? And then it goes on to say that provision rightly repudiated the Supreme Court of the United States' shameful decision in Dred Scott versus Sanford, which is, by the way, widely viewed as one of the most horrific things ever. A lot of people really agree that that was a horrible decision, but that was pre-Civil War. That was pre-slavery, right? This is 1857, which misinterpreted the Constitution as permanently excluding people of African descent from eligibility for United States citizenship based solely on their race. Dred Scott was a terrible, racist, horrible thing. There's a product of its time where the SCOTUS got it wrong. They do get it wrong sometimes. That was one of them. I don't think many people would argue on that. Trump then goes on to say, but the 14th Amendment has never been interpreted to extend citizenship universally. So we've got this case going on. I'm not going to go through this whole thing. But basically, if we go down and we scroll down a little bit, they want to take persons whose mother was unlawfully present in the United States and whose father was not a U.S. citizen or lawful permanent resident, or when that person's mother's presence in the United States was lawful but temporary. So this wasn't a bad executive order, right? It was well written, and what Trump and his team were trying to do was thread a needle. And the needle is based on the 14th Amendment, right? And the 14th Amendment, going back, here it is, Section 1. You see Section 1 of the 14th Amendment here on the screen. It says, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and the state wherein they reside. So this is the basis for this Supreme Court case. And on one side, you have the ACLU arguing that it says all persons are naturalized in the United States, born or naturalized in the United States, right? And they're saying that's all persons, period. And that is black letter of the law. But there's a qualifier, and it says, and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. Okay, so this is a complex case, and we need to understand what's occurring here. And you have to look at the qualifier. Now, I'm going to take the president's side on this case because I believe the president's right. And even if he's not, I think there's a better way to get this done. But let me get to that in a second. So the president, knowing that Congress will do nothing, knowing that the GOP we have a majority in the House, a majority in the Senate, but they're rhinos. They won't do anything to protect U.S. citizenship. The rhinos, they're sellouts, right? That's why they won't pass the SAVE Act. They will not do anything to help us. The rhinos benefit from fraudulent elections, just like the Democrats do. So the rhinos will not protect us. They won't pass the SAVE Act. And this, Trump is right. And I'm sorry, Congress is the problem. Congress wouldn't do anything, so Trump issues an EO. And he tries to thread a needle by focusing on the line that says, and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. Now, here's the problem. When they went to court, there were some very strong arguments by both sides, and the Supreme Court is leaning against Donald Trump. I'm going to be real honest with you. It doesn't look good. The president actually went to the Supreme Court for oral arguments for this, which is a very rare thing, and I credit Trump for doing that because I agree with him. This is a critical issue. But here's the problem. Illegals are subject to the jurisdiction of the United States in many cases, right? So if you're an illegal and you commit a crime in this country, you murder someone, we can put you in jail. So they're subject to the jurisdiction thereof in that sense. But the argument was being made, and I don't disagree with this argument, but it's a tough case, is that in context of immigration, they are not subject to the jurisdiction thereof, right? They're here illegally. And the question is, if someone is here illegally, should we extend the benefits of someone who is fully subject to the jurisdiction thereof to the decision of whether or not you're a citizen? And there's two sides to this argument. But here's where I want to go with this, right? The amendment has all persons born or naturalized in the United States. And that was interpreted very broadly, right? So Supreme Court precedent has interpreted that very, very broadly. There's an old case, United States v. Wong Kim Ark, which is an 1898 case. And they interpreted it very broadly. And you have to understand that back in those days, what was happening was there was a lot of push to try and ensure that people of color, it wasn't just black people, but it was basically there's a lot of racism. Yeah, this is the post-Supreme Court era, pre-civil rights. People were still being treated like crap because of the color of their skin, which is horrible, horrible. And so you've got this very broad ruling. And in that case, they specifically, it was related to some Chinese citizens. And they say, they were here. We're going to give them citizenship, their kid citizenship. There's a lot of problems with this. Trump's facing precedent, which is hard to overturn. He's facing plain language of the law. And while I agree that his argument has merits, right, that there are limitations to subject to the jurisdiction thereof, it's going to be a hard one to get the Supreme Court to overturn it, as demonstrated with oral arguments. It's a tough one. I want him to win. I do, but I don't know if he's gonna. Here's the real problem. Trump doing this on his own via executive order. Supreme Court's going to be concerned about balance of power, and they need to, because the next time you got a Joe Biden president, what if he does the same sort of thing, right? And they're thinking about how do we rule when that happens? So even the conservative justices are a little skeptical here, and they're not entirely wrong. Realistically, this is something Congress should come in and say that they are interpreting the law subject to the jurisdiction thereof to not apply to the citizenship question because of, et cetera, et cetera. And so if Congress and the president agreed on this, then you have 2/3 of the federal government in agreement on the interpretation of this inarguably ambiguous language, right? It's inarguably ambiguous, right? We say, because it contradicts itself. It says all persons, but then it says, and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. And when we look, they aren't fully subject to the jurisdiction thereof because the people there are the parents are not, in terms of their citizenship, the jurisdiction thereof. So that's the kind of the needle that Trump's DOJ is threading. If Congress would just pass a law, if our GOP majorities in Congress and the Senate and the House would actually do their job, this would be a lot less of an issue. This would be something that we could probably make hay on. And I would argue that if Congress had passed a law reflecting the president's interpretation, that this would have probably been received entirely differently by the conservative justices in the Supreme Court. Now, there's been people who have sponsored this bill, right? Matt Gaetz, who was going to be AG, by the way, until he got shut down by the crooks in Congress, had sponsored a law on this. By the way, I'm going to be on with Matt Gaetz tonight if you're watching. I think it's 6:45. I'm not sure what time, but I'm going to be on with Matt Gaetz tonight. So you might want to check. We're going to be talking about this issue. So subject to the jurisdiction thereof, right? Do we get anywhere on this? I don't know, but I do know that if Congress had done their job, this wouldn't be an issue. I think that the conservative justices would have taken this much differently. Because right now you've got an executive, the president, pushing an executive order that he couldn't get done through Congress because our Republicans are sellouts. And so the court's looking at balance of powers. They're looking at all sorts of things. And it's just no good. It's just no good. I want the president to win this case. I'm not confident he's gonna. It's a critical case. And when we look at this, and we look at this in context of what's happening. We look at Pam Bondi. We look at the way she's undermined things. We look at the GOP and the Republicans and how they've undermined things. This is a disaster. This is a disaster. I just don't know if it's going to happen. But the position that we're in this country right now is not any one person's fault. It's a combination of so many people that have sold out on so many different fronts. We've got to start cleaning house. We've got to start draining the swamp. If we start draining the swamp, we can potentially get Congress to start acting lawfully. I mean, maybe we should be looking at insider trading in Congress as well. We should look at some of the fraud that's occurring. If we start putting elected officials in jail that are breaking the law, and you can prosecute elected officials, you can prosecute career politicians and bureaucrats if they're breaking the law. But that is the advanced and complex legal work that our DOJ should be doing, that it hasn't done any of under Pam Bondi because she's both inept and, in my opinion, corrupt. Thank God she's gone. Let's take that win. Let's take it for what it is, and let's go from there. Guys, we're way late. Support us. GiveSendGo.com/RenzLaw. GiveSendGo.com/RenzLaw. I appreciate everything. I appreciate the support. Share this. Get it out there. Thanks for watching. We will be back very soon.
Thank you for watching the Tom Renz Show. Join us live Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern, putting an axe in the skull of tyranny.
Hale & Associates are a financial services organization specializing in retirement planning. We work with individuals from across the country, understanding that each person has unique needs and desires. Our goal is to help you develop income planning solutions that last a lifetime while securing your estate in a tax-efficient manner. Since 1983, Hale & Associates has been committed to educating the public on effective retirement planning strategies. We strive to empower our clients to make informed decisions to achieve their financial goals and secure their future. Let us help you take the necessary steps to build a retirement plan that meets your needs and provides financial peace of mind.